welcome back to another episode of Talking Shirts. Today I have Miriam. Everyone knows her as Cahillexpress. Now you are at Ultra Football in Sydney, and there's random people entering the door as we speak right now. How are you? How's your day? And what do you look? What's in front of you, basically?
Yeah, thanks, Alexander, for having me on today. I really appreciate it. I was really excited to film this episode with you. So yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm here at Ultra Football today. I'm here in Sydney, biggest football store in the world, basically, definitely in the Southern Hemisphere. Currently sitting next to their FIFA grade pitch, or that's what's in front of me at the moment. I wish I could show you guys, but I'd muck up the camera. So, and this was sort of the only comfortable spot I could get that sort of wasn't interfering the store at all, or wasn't interfering their stuff. So yeah.
You have to give us a bit of a walkthrough later, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. I can definitely show you guys around. Yeah, the store
definitely,
is awesome.
Definitely not a paid ad today. Ultra Football
No.
didn't tell us to do that, did they? No, definitely not. But like, it's a
no, they didn't. No.
Ultra Football are massive, ambassadors of this channel. So thank you to them for helping you out. And look, I think when I came across you and your work in the football scene, you inspired me a lot. And one of the things is your obsession, but also your passion for football. It's something that connects us all in the community. And I think you do it well in many ways. Tell us about just yourself, who you are, and your obsession with football, your first story, how you got into football.
Yeah, so basically football for me is more of a family affair. So growing up, being the daughter of Lebanese immigrants who have come to Australia, probably in the early 80s. Sorry, I should say late 70s. Football was always destined to be sort of in my blood. My elder sister Sana, she represented Australia in futsal. She played professionally before the W League had formed here in Sydney and here in Australia. So I just grew up watching football, playing the sport in the backyard, and just really following the game a lot. So because my sister really, she was like very active within the sport and within the realm of football. She used to watch the Serie A a lot. So I grew up watching a lot of the Serie A at a very young age. And that was, probably one of the, I suppose, footballing competitions that was shown here in Australia on SBS. Basically grew up watching that. So yeah.
Oh, perfect. I didn't know about your sister. That's awesome. So good work on that. That's actually, like, it breaks my heart knowing that some people missed out on the generation side of things where, W League comes into play and then it's a generation miss. But look, she had her time and she loved it. Now it's your turn to, push football in a different way. Is there anything Lebanese football-wise you can tell us? Any fun facts about the Lebanese team? I know when Australia played
really
Lebanon a couple of years ago, that was intense.
Yeah. So I watched them when they came here to Australia. This was only maybe last year or the year before. It was Tim Cahill's final game for Australia. That was when he hung up his boots. Yeah, so that was a really special moment for me. Not only because I support Tim Cahill, I've loved Tim Cahill for a long time.
What would say you like Tim Cahill?
Oh, look, he's a legend in his own right. Like,
yeah, of course.
He's put Australian football on the map, really, with all of his exploits for the Australian team. So, I followed him when he was at Millwall, and then he went to Everton, and that's how I became an Everton supporter. So, really solidified it for me. But, that game that he played when he hung up his boots as a footballer for Australia, I should say, was really special because I got to take my dad to the match, and he got to watch his national team, and he was really excited. He was in the crowd. He had his little Lebanese flag. Time? It was his first. Yeah, it was first. He's probably second football match that he's watched here in Sydney, and it was just really special for us to be able to watch our respective national teams play. So that was
beautiful.
Really cool. Yeah.
So what would your first football memory be for yourself, as in like experience football, like playing? I know watching your sister and maybe watching on TV, but I know I've seen clips of you taking some free kicks on Instagram. But what was your first football experience like playing at the game?
So I basically, as I said, grew up playing in the backyard. So that was with my older sisters and my dad. Just played at school. So one of my earliest memories was probably in like year 3. I would have been about 7 or 8, and just playing for school. taking a penalty and scoring. That was the first goal I ever remember, which was awesome. So and you don't ever forget your first goal. You don't ever
No,
forget your
definitely
first
not.
goal. So, but yeah, I just basically played throughout school. And obviously because I love the game so much, I just continued to play wherever I could. I didn't really have an opportunity, I guess, to pursue it professionally because I'm mainly focused more on my studies. So I'm a registered pharmacist. So
Oh,
went to
wow.
uni, did that, got my degree, got registered as a pharmacist, and then opted to play a bit of local club football after that. So for me, it's always just been about pursuing the game and enjoying the game and just
Yeah.
doing what I love. Yeah.
Oh, look, that sometimes passions and football in general, like we live in a lucky generation. I say this, we can make it a job as well now. So there's nothing stopping you from doing your thing, and I think you are doing that and pushing the boundaries for, football in many ways. But when it comes to your sort of story in football, you do have sort of your hand in many of the regions. And when I say that, I mean, like, for example, if you just come on your page, you're obsessed with Adidas. Like
Yeah.
I love. Look, when it comes to my collection and my
Yeah.
sort of kits that I have, like I've got many brands, but
Yeah.
what did Adidas like stand for you? Or even I think your Germany kits. Like,
Yeah.
funny enough, when people with kit collectors show me their German kits, they go, "Hey, would your friend Cahillexpress like this kit?" I'm like,
Seriously.
Everyone knows you as that German kit collector."
I didn't know that. That's amazing. That's incredible. I didn't realize that I had a reputation that precedes me for um, Germany kits, and they think of me, that's crazy to me. I had no idea. So, yeah, Adidas for me, I think. I mean, growing up here in Australia, we obviously didn't have the opportunity to get our hands on gear at all,
Yeah,
particularly as a female. I found it really, really hard to purchase football gear that fit me. Um, or that was top of the range elite boots, or replica jerseys and things like that. So growing up, I'd always known Adidas, and like my older sister has been a really big influence for me. No disrespect to Nike at all, and they're great with what they're doing for the women's game. I love what they're doing for the women's game. They're so supportive of the Australian women's team. They're putting them front first in all of their advertising and their marketing, which is like incredible. So no disrespect to Nike at all, because I love what they're doing with the women's game. As in addition to the men's game as well. So it just, for me, it was just growing up that my sister had worn Adidas, and she had some old Copa Mundials that she passed along to me, and I grew up remembering all the gear that she wore and all the stuff that she had. So for me, it's always been basically a current, I suppose, theme throughout my life growing up
yeah,
as a football supporter and as a football player. So yeah, and then again, most of the teams that I support, and as well, Germany being the national team that I do support a lot, and I fully and wholeheartedly throw my support behind them by purchasing jerseys and training wear and all that sort of stuff. They've always had that relationship with Adidas because that was the brand that initially were formed specifically for the German national team. So because they've had that relationship and they'll always have that relationship,
hmm
that's a really important thing for me, and I like to have that consistency, I suppose. Yeah,
yeah. I think Germany and Adidas have that connection for a
yeah,
long, long
they're
time, and
synonymous. Yeah,
yeah,
synonymous with each other. Yeah.
we'll probably never see it change too.
Mm,
It's funny because then you're a Sydney FC fan, and when they went to
mm,
Adidas, I was like, oh,
mhm.
she's probably happy with that. But then they went to Under Armour, and that was a bit of
Yeah.
a weird time for you. But and then we come across this new connection that you have with a certain individual and athlete that you are inspired by, Ninkovic.
Oh, yeah, yes,
Yeah, and
yes,
is that
Milos.
a
Yes.
Dimo Dresden top that you're wearing,
Um, it is
or Dynamo
Dynamo Kiev. Dynamo
Kiev?
Kiev.
Sorry.
Yes, yes. So
Tell me
from
the
so
story about that kit and how you found it, because that's a match worn kit, is it? Or
it's, well, apparently it is.
oh,
I don't believe it is. I don't believe it is because I feel like, I mean, it was advertised as match worn, given to me by a player, and I'm like, yeah, okay, we'll see how we go, eBay. So I wasn't entirely sold on that, but regardless, for me, so obviously Milos Ninkovic has been this player who's come to Sydney FC, and he's really just established himself as this player with flair and creativity
yeah,
and a real passion for growing the sport here in Sydney, on a youth level, because he's established his own little youth academy here in Sydney.
Wow.
And he really is a cult hero for the club. And he really bleeds sky blue. So it was really, really cool to see him come to this country. You know, he can't speak English. He's established himself. He's built a legacy already, and become a cult hero for the club. And just to see how classy he is on the field, but then off the field, he's just a decent human being, and he's a really good person. And every time I've been lucky enough to meet him or have a discussion with him, he's always been really lovely.
That's nice.
Yeah, he's a really, really nice guy. So for me, it was just like, he was this player that's come to the club. He's got all this flair and creativity, and I was like, oh, I love this. This is amazing. The A League is getting players from overseas who we can see this, this type of, I suppose, this type of footballer that we don't normally always get to see in Australia. So it was really exciting to watch him play. And I remember when he made his debut, I think it was in the FFA Cup, and I've just gone, this guy is going to be something big. I was like, he's going to win the Johnny Warren medal this year, no doubt. And in that season he did. So it was just, really, really exciting to see. So because of that, I've just supported him as a footballer, and then as a result, I've managed to purchase jerseys from clubs he's previously played at. So this was one of them. It's got Ninkovic printing on the back as well. So I was lucky to find this on eBay, and this one came from the Ukraine. I purchased it back in maybe April last year.
I heard about this.
This was just insane, and I waited about 6 to 7 months before I could finally get it to Australia. And I was just lucky enough that a really good friend of mine, Darren Booty, shout out to you, Darren, you legend in the UK, who watches this channel, and he loves your show. So I just thought I have to say that. Yeah, shout out to Darren. He managed to redirect the package to himself, and then he sent it towards me. So I was really lucky enough, and thankful that he managed to do that for me. So I got that shirt. I don't know, do I do a show and tell? Because I'll show you another shirt.
I was going to say,
cool.
I just thought about who Darren Booty was, and that's definitely shout out to him, because he's someone that I've also come across in 2020. So definitely. I was going to say one more thing with your Sydney FC. We'll talk about that obsession later, because Sydney and football for you have given you not only a voice, but a passion for you to go and express your thing. Because every time I see you post about Sydney FC, it makes me happy knowing that there's fans out there. And I think you and I are both on the same pathway of just trying to make people love football here, because too many people watch overseas and they don't really give the time of day or later, like the light of day for W League and A League. Would you say that we're still going in the right place after what's happened with the A League and the FA now, not the FFA? Do you think it's positive for you as well, like going to the game, seeing a bit of a change? And what would you say, like as a fan, you would like to see in the future of football in Australia?
I think we're definitely headed in the right direction. Look, it's really difficult to say, because there's so many things that are happening with all the situation that's going on with games being postponed and all of that. It's hard to say, but I do think we're going in the right direction, so long as we have people like yourself within the realm of Australian football promoting the game, and basically telling people exactly what you said just then, to give the A League and the W League the light of day, to get down to your local matches, to buy memberships, to buy gear, support your local club, get down to matches and really throw your support behind it. Because for me, the biggest thing that drew me to Sydney FC was the fact that here I had a team that I could go and watch on a weekly basis, week in and week out, cheer them and support them. And you develop this affinity and this relationship with that club. You sort of don't have that with your overseas club, like in the Premier League and the Bundesliga or the La Liga or Serie A. I mean, yes, you can support teams because of your heritage, or you might have had some sort of, like, your football story starts with an overseas club, but there is really nothing that can compare to having a local team to support. And then not just supporting the A League and the W League, but then supporting your NPL as well. So getting out to those other clubs within those divisions and going to watch a local team play, I think it's so important, and it's only going to benefit the Australian game, and will only help us establish things and make things bigger for us in the long term. In terms of what's happened with the FFA, and now that clubs, I suppose, have their ability to take things in their own directions, I think that that's a good thing. And hopefully we'll see more clubs come into the competition in the years to come. We've seen MacArthur come into the competition. I think in the first round they played really, really well against Western Sydney Wanderers, and all of a sudden they've they've stamped their authority on a new sort of Sydney derby, I suppose. They haven't had really good results in the last 2 rounds, but we've had and they're cowbells. I don't know what to say about that, but
well,
it's
well,
a
that's the
debatable
thing.
one.
Do you think like the fan aspect needs to come back? Like we do miss that energy
Yeah.
from the RBB. Even
Yeah.
being a City fan and working for City, I
Yeah.
do miss the victory sort of
Yeah.
what they had, and even the City terrorists. Like I think that's one thing you and I both agree, and that's what I was trying to lead into. What
Yeah.
would you describe in 3 words the feeling of being at a game? Like I know you're someone who really appreciates the game day experience. Can you describe the game day experience for you in 3 words, like off the top of your head right now?
For me, it's always passion, excitement, and nerves. Like of all the things, the week leads up to, especially when it's a derby, especially when we know we're playing Wanderers or we know we're playing Melbourne Victory. Big Blue for us is a big thing because our history, we have this long standing relationship, hate love relationship with Melbourne
Yeah.
Victory right from the inception of the league. So it's always like leading up to those games. There's always a lot of nerves. There's always a lot of excitement. You get there on game day, you get to the stadium, you're in and amongst the fans. You see families, like little kids wearing jerseys and supporting players and things like that. And it just fills you with like, boundless excitement. You just can't, you can't replace that really by watching online, streaming online, English Premier League and things like that.
Definitely not.
There's
All
just,
right.
it's a different experience altogether.
Yeah, and that's when it comes to the collecting stuff. And I know because this is going to be on Spotify as well. So for everyone
Okay.
listening, you're going to have to describe the kit you're holding that you're showing off now. But to the YouTube viewers, they definitely will be spoiled with the choices of kits that you brought today. So let's just show everyone the kits that you brought in.
Okay, sure. So we can start with Ninkovic. So this one was a really cool Red Star Belgrade shirt that I managed to pick up.
That's one I need to get. Yeah, that's a nice one.
This,
Gazprom.
Yeah, this is a beautiful shirt. It's by Puma as well. I think it was the 2013-2014 season when Ninkovic was there for only one season and they won the league. But the coolest thing is the Cyrillic writing on the back, and that's why I love it. So this was a very good pickup. I was really excited by this shirt. So that's one.
Still in the Dassler family.
Sorry?
Still in the Dassler.
Yeah, by being Puma, that's right.
It's just by Rudolf Dassler.
So then, if we go into Germany, then this is probably my favorite kit. So I thought I had to bring this one in for you. So this is my 1990 West Germany home shirt, long sleeves.
Apparently, it's inspired by the techno scene.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just for me, the stripes are just like iconic. Like you just can't go past that print. And I have like so many things in this print now. Like I have cushions and wall prints and all sorts of stuff. Like my whole room is full of this print. So this is like, iconic. Probably one of the jerseys that started it all for me was this 2014 home Germany.
Again, another
shirt.
iconic one.
Yeah, Schweinsteiger, they won the World Cup.
The one and only.
Yeah, so this jersey for me was a really cool one because when I first bought it, and it was right after the World Cup, all of a sudden there was all this excitement and I just remembered how it made me feel.
Yeah.
And people were commenting on it. We're like, oh yeah, Germany won the World Cup. It's really cool. And it really, really just started things for me in terms of collecting. So then I have some more Germany ones. So
that's a good one.
Excuse me. This is like the iconic basket weave shirt. So I think this is 94 home World Cup shirt. So that's kit. Germany as well. This one's really special. But what I like a lot about it is that if you look at it in different light, you can see the DFB team logo, like
oh wow,
printed all throughout.
Yeah,
and
that's something the 90s did well.
That's really, really cool. So that's
the collar on that's my favorite too.
Yeah, I love the collar, but the basket weave is really cool. And then I've got the next one. So
this collar's better.
This one's cool, and I like Adidas equipment, so that's really cool.
Oh wow, I didn't know I said that. That's awesome. And the little logos on the collar.
Love that, just on the collar there. So bring that a bit further. So that's the next one. And then, sorry, I dropped one accidentally. So I'm going to pull this one. Oh no, that's not the one I was thinking of.
I know which one that is.
I brought this one to show you because I know you were excited by it. So I had a Neuer goalkeeper shirt around here somewhere. So I was sure I brought that with me, but maybe it's not here.
I had a Neuer. Dropped it.
I'm sorry. Oh my God, where did I put this jersey? I had a Neuer goalkeeper jersey.
I
Maybe
was
I
gonna
left
make
it
a
at home.
pun. You're gonna be like, you have Neuer a deal
I
where you
have,
left it.
yeah, basically. Oh wait, there it is. I found it. I dropped it. Sorry, I'm in a mess at the moment. Okay, so
You're good.
Neuer goalkeeper shirt as well. So this was a recent one. I think this was,
Yeah.
yeah, I think this was
So how
2017.
many Germany kits do you have? Do you know?
I counted them. I have about 30 now.
Oh, gee.
So the collection is progressing.
Oh,
It's very
like
much
you are
progressing.
proclaimed, you are definitely proclaimed, I can't say the word,
That's right.
proclaimed,
Mm,
German efficient kit collector. And
yes.
honestly,
Yeah.
that's why, like, I think when it comes to the kit collecting scene, we even spoke about this prior. I look, there's a lot of people out there that collect certain kits or certain brands, or they have a
Yeah.
specific, like, obsession with a certain type. Like for me, it's about the
Yeah.
90s. I go above
Yeah.
and beyond.
Yeah.
And for you, definitely it seems to be the German side. But is there anywhere else you'll be pushing the boundaries in the future? Do you think you have a new obsession, maybe like Japanese 90s kits, or maybe
I
even
think
go to Balkans?
well, I mean, the Balkan connection now because of Ninkovic, that's really started something for me. And then
Yeah,
so I brought this one. This is a bit of a controversial one, but I had to purchase this. I found this on eBay, and this is
controversial
this.
because yeah.
Controversial because it's Yugoslavia, so we won't get into the history of that.
Yeah, don't
However,
worry. I'm not going to get into that too.
yeah, so we won't get into the history of that. But
So
this
ask
piece,
Chrissy. She'll definitely give you a good explanation.
she's great. She's so knowledgeable. So, and I always get my information from her as well. We always have
Yeah.
really lovely chats about football and political issues within football. But this was a
Classic
really
kit.
this was a really cool pickup. So this is like an away Yugoslavia shirt of the 80s,
Hmm.
but I couldn't pinpoint what part of the 80s because I only found one picture online of the team
Oh
wearing it.
yeah.
So I wasn't really sure. So that's been really cool. But I've recently been getting into France. So
Yes.
France, and
Wow.
I found this, which is really cool. So this I found on Facebook Marketplace. Someone was
Nice.
selling this in Perth, I think it was. And I think this is, I can't remember, this could be 96
Hmm.
France home shirt. And I just love the little drawstring at the front. That was really cool. And I love the Adidas stripes down the
Definitely,
sides.
if you're after any French kits, there's lots out there, and there's so
Yeah.
many to collect. Oh, yeah, and the Adidas era for France was my
Well,
favorite
that's
too.
it.
The new
Yeah.
stuff with Nike is not bad. I don't mind this year's kit, and even the women's kit I've got on the
Yeah.
side here with the polka
Yeah.
dots. But
Yeah.
I think when you look at national teams, you're gonna find a lot of nice kits. I think the German and the French kits would be a good fit for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Um,
I really like
there you
them.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah. Sorry.
sure. This is where, like, I think you and I agreed on prior to this conversation, and it's something that's been hard for me to find online. Like, when I find a lot of collectors online, it's usually men behind the scene, and there's only a few sort of in the scene that I come across. And we spoke about that football girl who creates the bedazzled, amazing, one-off bespoke designs. And I love her
Mm,
work. And
mm,
then your stuff with the German kids, and even the page that you do. And there's many out there that haven't sort of, I can definitely show you a list of people that I
yeah.
converse with about kits. But do you think that maybe there's a lot more you can do, or the community can do together to, help others out there to make it look a bit normal? Because I think it's almost like saying, it's just like saying that certain things shouldn't be collected by certain sex or gender, and it's
Mm,
like not in that criteria. But I
mm.
think that's where we come now, where it's like, hey, anyone can collect this sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, I mean, and for me, what I always try to push out, or I try to like show people, is that women can collect football shirts. Like, it's not entirely a gender exclusive thing. I
Mm.
think it's because we're so used to seeing, men wearing shirts, or I suppose incorporating it in a culture sense, if that makes
Hmm.
sense. So, in like a streetwear type style of fashion, it's easy for men to pair it with like a nice pair of pants and jeans and chinos and sneakers and whatnot, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden they've got a really cool look. It's a little bit more difficult for women, obviously, because these things have been marketed for men for a long time. And then also
Good call.
the style of women's jerseys, you know when I was growing up, and even up until maybe about 5 years ago, we used to always get the low V cut, like shirts with the sleeves like cut up to here, and it was
Yeah,
like
that never made
skin
any sense.
high, and it was just like, women don't wear these things. Like,
The V
where,
cut
where,
was all.
what?
I tried buying my wife
Yeah,
one, and I was like, why is
yeah,
it cut like that?
yeah. It's terrible. So I've basically bought men's shirts, this whole time. And even to a certain extent can sort of get away with buying like kids sizing, depending on the fit. But um, like I'd love to see more women out there,
Mm,
collecting shirts and, I suppose displaying their passions for football. It's not exclusively a men only thing. Women can definitely do it too. I mean, I love wearing football shirts with skirts and like heels and boots and whatever it may be, but that's
mhm.
just my style. So, I mean, it really depends. And, anyone's prerogative. If they want to get into it, then great, and put yourself out there and showcase what you have. And, if you want to style and wear it with an outfit, no one's ever going to judge you. If anything, it just promotes football here in Australia and football culture, and it just means it's more inclusive, and that's what football is. It's we don't say it's the world game for nothing. It's inclusive. It's all inclusive. We want everyone to be a part of it and to showcase their passion. So I think that's why for me I always try to say, or just try to showcase to men and women that yeah, there are women out there who do enjoy collecting football shirts and wearing them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's almost at the time now where we need shirts to be in a way for both genders, or just, sorry, multiple genders, and
Mm, mm,
non-specified. But I
yes.
think when it comes to the cut, it needs to fit everyone and all, and of course the sizing. But like when I purchased the women's French kit, I loved it, and when I saw there was a men's version, I was like, oh,
Mm,
that was fast. And then
mm,
recently we've seen some men kits with no women's option, and if there
mm.
was a women's option, and now that you mentioned that, I'm like, oh my god, that's so true. They always did a weird cut, the short sleeve that almost
Awful.
looks like it's a singlet, but it's like a bit too much
Yeah.
material.
Yeah.
Do you think it's something that fashion was just sort of pushing into the sports scene as an accepted form, or do you think it was just something? I think the manufacturers just,
I
because
think it
maybe
was
they didn't have the
always
deep thought. Yeah,
I think it was always an afterthought. I don't think that it was ever something that brands or the powers that be were pushing just because. I think it was always that it was considered an afterthought, and they thought that there wasn't a market. Whoever thought that women could be
that's actually
purchasing,
good. They
yeah,
thought there wasn't a market. That's actually
they
true.
thought
So
that there
like
wasn't a market. Yeah,
that's
that's
the
beautiful.
the
Oh, that's
women's one,
gorgeous. Yeah,
and like when I saw there was men's size for it, I was
yeah.
like, oh, that was quick.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
so that's actually a good point. So definitely do think manufacturers 2021 onwards need to think about the broadest, the community out there. And I
yeah.
think it is people like yourselves and even the girls at TLL that need to,
Mm,
work together, because Australia ourselves are coming to a massive milestone in a couple of years' time. And it's a good segue because we are seeing our talent take over the English sort of scene with Kerr,
incredible.
Van Egmond, and
Mm,
et cetera. There's so many to mention, right? So the World Cup coming up, and hopefully the pandemic is easing by the end of that year. Um, and yeah, I think the power of football. I think it's time now for everyone, like in that scene, to unite and make it their turn to show the world that yeah, we're out here. So, is there anything that you're looking forward to the Women's World Cup in Australia? And yeah, please shout out anything that you want to talk about it.
I'm just absolutely excited and buzzing about it because I felt like we sort of reached. I think we're at a crossroads now where, especially Australian women's football has really come a long way. And you're right, like most of our talent now is just dominating overseas. Like we saw Sam Kerr's Chelsea um, a win overnight. I think it was 5-0. Alana Kennedy signed a permanent contract with
That's right.
Tottenham as well, which is exciting to see. I love seeing Hayley Raso at Everton. But for me, that was so
Massive.
exciting. Yeah, it was so
Yeah.
exciting to see an Australian footballer play, in Everton women. So that was like very exciting. I think just coming up towards this tournament, there's a lot of buzz, and I know that, you know, with people who do support football, especially Australian women's football, who do watch the W League, they're very excited. They're gearing up. I know that the Ladies League are hopefully planning to do something big coming up towards that tournament. You've got photographers like Rach by the White Line, who is
Hmm.
she's definitely gearing up for the World Cup as well. So look, I'm just there for the ride, really. And if I can promote it in any way that I can, I will. If I can get tickets to watch the games, I'm there. And I'll be there supporting Australia all the way, obviously. Not Germany, because we'll be supporting Australia, of course. So yeah, I'm just going to be there along for the ride and just buzzing to see what's going to happen. And I know Ultra Football will be doing stuff um, when that comes around too, because
Yeah.
they really love to spearhead the women's game here. So they love to push that, which is great. It's just so good to see, you know, big companies and brands like Adidas and Nike really, you know, support the women's game. So it's very
Yeah.
exciting.
And we've seen evidently like Nike do well with the women's and the Matildas here. And I think comparing it 10 years ago to see how football for women's was respected to how it is now, it's really good to see. And I love seeing Kerr living her life and enjoying
Mm.
football in London. It really excites me watching her actually enjoy her football and seeing Van Egmond and even, like you said, Alana Kennedy sign full-time contracts. But yeah, football for 2023 and the women's in Australia is going to be a big thing. And it's also a good shout out to, like you said, for Rach and many other creatives out there. I was gonna go on Instagram and quickly check. There's a few. I think like what's that? The Rhiannon. I think she works with the
Oh
TLL
yeah,
girls, and now she's
Rihanna
working at
Payne.
MacArthur Bulls.
Yes, she is.
And
Yes.
then also we've got. Forgive me if she's watching this and I got her name wrong. I think her Instagram's Kiko. I think she's working with Brisbane Raw.
Oh, I'm not sure. I'm not
Kiko
sure.
style. I'll quickly make sure that is. And then, of course, we've got Anne Dong with Football Stories,
Yes.
you know.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And there's so many others, you know. There's
Mm.
also Anna Harrington, stuff like that are reporting. So I'm really excited to see all you work together and create something amazing because I think, yeah, the Women's World Cup is going to be special. And I do hope to see creators like yourself, TLL, and everyone we have mentioned have that sort of open market to create and finally have a chance to do something at home because traveling overseas isn't cheap and hasn't been fun for the past year.
Yeah. 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 Thanks, Alex. I appreciate that. It's look, it's a very exciting time. I'm noticing now there's a lot of young women who are out there on the Instagram who are following you know, who might hit me up and message me and be like, oh, I really love that jersey that you posted, or I really love you know, you were at this game and that was really cool. I have a funny story actually
Yeah,
with
tell
Rihanna. It
us.
was she's so lovely. Like the first time we actually met was at a Sydney FC game.
Of course it was.
Um, and this was she was just, oh, I like, just bless her, I love her so much. She was so sweet, and we ran into each other in an elevator going up towards it was in Fox Studios, going up towards where to park, where I was going to get into my car basically. And so I jump in this elevator and she's there with her mum, and I think with her sister or her cousin, and she's just smiling at me, and I was just like, I'm not sure who this is, but I just sort of smiled back. Um and then after that, so they got out of the elevator and she's like, bye, have a lovely night. And I was like, yeah, thanks, you too. You know, and I was like, oh, that was really sweet. I didn't know who she was, but that was really sweet. She messages me on Instagram. She's like, I can't believe it was you. I was so
Oh,
excited to meet you. And I was like, oh, so lovely to finally meet you. So it's funny the way that works, but it's just exciting to see that there are young women out there who really do love the game and who are passionate for the game.
of
So
course.
yeah, hopefully, in, you know, before the World Cup comes around 2023, that we'll see more of that, and we'll see big projects happening. So
No,
yeah, very
that's
exciting stuff.
honestly something like that does, you know, does speak true to who you are as a person. And I think what you yourself have been doing for the football scene, but also for, you know, women in football is also, you know, special. And I like you said before, wearing the football kits and outwear thing. I was having a thought before, like me and my friend Paul, who
Mm.
we do between two shirts. Like when we go out with our wives, we both have this thing where we have to wear jerseys and jerseys only, and the girls dress up and his partner is still plays football, but my wife, she tries to play football. She can play
That's all
FIFA,
right.
so that's her
Yeah,
call.
that's awesome.
And she screams go Ronaldo every time she watches, and I'm like, he's not playing, babe. But like
It's okay.
I always think about that. And when you
Mm,
mentioned like wearing the jersey, I think you do it well, and I think that's
thank
something
you.
that speaks true of who you are. You don't let anyone sort of question what you're doing, and you do it because you love it, and that's what I really
Exactly.
appreciate. So keep doing that because,
Thank
like you
you.
said, people will come up to you like Rhiannon in the elevator of all places, but they see you and you're doing something different and inspires them to do something for themselves. So yeah, we
Thank
always
you.
need people to take one step forward for someone else to follow, you know, so that's good.
Yeah, thanks very much. I think for me, my main thing as well is if I can help to create a space for women within the football community to be able to speak and have their voices heard, then we've got a greater range of voices to be heard.
Of
So
course.
if I can help to formulate that, or to be in some small way have helped to create that space, then I've done my job and I'm happy, and I'll be happy with whatever it is that I've done.
Well,
Yeah.
look, brands have seen who you are and companies know who you are because you've collaborated with brands like Ultra, brands like Proto Rect, Nike, Adidas. You've done the lot. There's probably heaps that I don't know of. And like I always say, like I even said it before, we're in a lucky generation. So anyone watching or
Mm.
listening to this, like if you want to do something in life, all you have to do is try, because there's nothing worse than not trying. So yeah, talk to us. This is probably the last subject, and we're going to a last shout out for you. But talk to us and
Mm.
tell everyone listening how you came about with a lot of these companies and brands just saying to you, "Hey, Miriam, we want to work with you."
It, I mean, it all happens. It was sort of really. I mean, I think it's probably a culmination of luck, um, and then the fact that I have just always just tried to put my passion out there. When I first got onto Instagram, it was just like, oh, these are my football boots. I'm going to my match and I'm just going to post this because they're really cool and I really
Yeah.
like them. And that's just how it started. It was just that I just really enjoy, I suppose, the gear aspect of the game and then the football culture aspect of the game. And then
Mhm.
just wanted to just put that on Instagram. And it just so happened that, I mean, Protorects were probably the the largest people that noticed at the time, and they sort of kicked off things and they sort of started things for me, which was just incredible. When all of a sudden I did a live story feed for the Sydney Derby through
Wow.
Protorect. So I actually had their account and I was logged onto their account,
Oh,
was
shit.
uploading like a live story for them, and to get Australian football out there, in the stratosphere, like for the world to see,
Mm.
all of a sudden people were like, wow, Sydney FC have a team, Western Sydney Wanderers have a team, and there are people in Australia that love the game. And that for me was a huge turning point, because all of a sudden that had generated a lot of, I
Hype
suppose,
and
traffic and hype.
yeah.
And then, Adidas had this thing, they were running this sort of competition in Australia called the Tango Squad.
Yeah.
And I had put my name down and just put my Instagram handle, and they saw how passionate I am for the brand, and they were just like, we've got to get this girl on board. And then they flew me to Melbourne, and I got to meet Miralem Pjanic, and I
Wow.
got to meet the Juventus team, and that was just like a mind-blowing experience. So like, I can't thank them
See?
enough for something like that. That was incredible. It started off with just things like that, and just like little things happening here and there, and then Ultra basically were established here in Sydney. And as time progressed and obviously opportunities arose, I'd always just jump on board. And I think this is the thing, right? Just do what you're passionate about and don't be caught up in trying to do stuff that other people like. Just do
Mm-hmm.
what makes you happy.
100%.
Post about stuff that really inspires you and makes you happy. Like, I'll post about Sydney FC to the end of time, because they're the club I support and I have that affinity with them. If people don't support the club, that's fine, but they support Australian football and they can see that my passion's coming through in that regards. So that's all I can say. And that if you want to, get into something like this or do social media and be involved in the football atmosphere, I suppose, then, just be patient. If it's a slow burn,
Definitely.
nothing's going to happen overnight, and just keep putting your passion out there. Like, that's all I can say really in that regard.
Two good things you said. Yeah, be patient. Patience is always the one thing you need to learn in life. And also, nothing worse than trying to be someone else, because you are unique in many ways. So, like, being yourself is important. So, yeah, look,
Absolutely.
and that's the thing. Like, where did Cahillexpress come from? Now, this is the last topic, and then we can do a shout out. But like,
Yeah,
what's
cool.
the infamous name?
This is a funny one. So this is an ode to my father.
Ah,
This one is
nice.
is to my dad, and I love my father. He's been a source of inspiration of football, because he's so passionate about the game, and he grew up, in his little hometown back in Lebanon, in this little village, without footballs and without football boots, and they used to just play the game on the streets and wherever it was. So
Mm.
so he came up with the name, funnily enough, and it just so happened that one day he had come home from work, and he had driven on this. We have this freeway in the city called the Cahillexpressway.
I thought so.
So that's where it's come from, and he knows that I've always supported Tim Cahill and has known for a long time that he's like my favorite Australian footballer. Came home one day and he says, "Hey, you, Cahill Express." And I was like, "What? Like, what?" And he goes, "Yeah, I was driving on the Cahill Expressway and I thought of you. So you love Cahill? Yeah, that's it. You're the Cahill Express." So I said, "Okay." And
That's cute.
since then he'd always called me that name. And then when I first jumped onto Instagram, just because I wanted to see what all the hype was about, and get on it. I was like, yeah, Cahillexpress, that's my name. And I'll just go from there. And it
There you
stuck.
go.
And I haven't wanted to change it. Like, it's just people know me as that. So I don't
As
think people actually know my name. They know me as Cahillexpress, which is quite funny.
I know that the name thing, alias thing is it gives you two different sort of personas. You know, that's the
Mm,
best thing about having. That's why I love opening different business pages and names because you can do
mm,
different things and people want to connect
yeah,
one to one. Has Timmy ever mentioned or come across
no,
and said anything?
I
Or
don't know.
we'll
I
have to
think he
set that
knows
up one
I'm
day. Okay.
no, I'm too embarrassed. I think he knows I'm a huge fan. I have met him once or twice and gotten like a jersey signed or something like that, but I was probably a bumbling mess at the time. So, um,
What you?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
So we'll
that's
just
that's
leave it at that.
awesome.
We'll just leave it
Oh,
at that.
that's a lovely story. So look, the whole name behind it now, it
Mm,
makes a lot more sense, and it's a lot more special in a sense that it comes from someone at home.
close
Um,
to me. Yeah.
yeah, look, I think when it comes to anyone's football story, it's always about what makes us fall in love with the game. And I see a lot of family orientation in yours, and I think that's why you like being a part of the community because it does remind you of your sister or your dad, and just being a part of the group.
Yeah.
So look, that's been a great chat, and in many ways, I've learned a lot. And I hope the listeners and the viewers do learn more about you, more than just the German kick collector.
Yeah. There is
But
much more to me.
oh, look, there is, and that's why
Thank
with
you.
your Instagram, you're promoting a lot. So I do look forward to seeing what 2021 brings for you. That being said, what's your future plans? And if there's anyone you want to shout out or anything you want to shout out, please go ahead.
My future plans. So basically, hopefully, continuing to work hand in hand with Ultra Football. They've given me a lot. I'm really thankful for everything that they've done. I'm always on hand for, when they have product launches and, they'll release, like Adidas will release remake boots and things like that. And I'm always lucky enough to get my hands on, highly sought after items like that. So I'm very lucky and
The
thankful. So
human race
thank you,
stuff too,
Ultra
yeah.
Football. Human race stuff was just incredible. So that the tracksuit and the jersey and I love that whole collaboration. When as soon as Ultra knew that was coming through, they said to me straight away, "We know you're going to love this. We know how much you love the vintage jerseys, and these have all been remade. And there's like a human aspect and a human touch to these." So they got me on board, and that was just really exciting to be a part of that
Nice.
whole collaboration, that whole launch here in
Hmm.
Sydney. So yeah, hopefully just continue working hand in hand with Ultra, and just see what the future holds. I mean, I don't really have any plans necessarily. The only thing what I really wanted to do was to travel, overseas. I wanted to go to England. I wanted to visit Pro Direct. I wanted to go to the store there and then watch some football. I wanted to go over and watch Everton because I've never had a chance to do that. I wanted to go watch Bayern at the Allianz in Munich. And I've never had a chance to do that. So that for me was the natural progression, and that's what I wanted to achieve. Obviously, in today's climate, with what's going on, it's probably not on the cards for a little while. So it is what it is. But in terms of that, just continue creating stuff that people are excited about and things that I'm excited about. Um, yeah, I don't really have much sort of on the horizon at the moment. It's just whatever comes, and that's how I normally just
Yeah.
do things, go about things, just
Well,
take
look,
things as they come.
2020 wasn't unplanned for him. It wasn't
Mm,
planned for in many ways, and
yeah,
I'm fortunate enough to have made a lot of friends and finally get the chat to you, which has been
thank
maybe
you.
a year and a half in the making. And
Yeah,
well, look, I look forward to hopefully coming to Sydney where we can work on something
yeah,
together, and of course for the TLL girls and just football in general. I know with the border closures, we haven't been able to even do away games. We was meant to go to Sydney this week for MacArthur Bull, so hopefully in the future, when City comes to Sydney, we can collaborate on something. But look,
have to.
honestly, always a pleasure to speak to
Thank you.
you, and I look forward to seeing what other Ninkovic top you find. Definitely, I may have now wanted to get a Ninkovic Red Star kit
Ooh,
myself, so I'll have a look for that too. Anything you
nice,
want to shout
nice.
out, or you're all happy with that?
No, I think I'm all good. I mean, yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to for having me on board today. Like, it was really exciting when you told me, when you asked me to come along and film this episode. I was genuinely very, very excited because I do love the episodes that you've always put up, and it's always
Oh, thank you.
interesting to see the range of people that you get on board and see how they're all of it involved in Australian football and then also overseas as well. So yeah, I know I just really wanted to say thank you. And then to everyone that's watching that supports your channel as well, thank you to them. So yeah, very
Of course,
exciting.
to everyone listening and watching, please make sure to subscribe to Cahillexpress,
Thank
because
you.
there's always a lot of content on there for you to basically look at. And also the German kit collection that she has is, you know, compared to many, like the best in many ways. So
Thank you.
please check out her work, please check out her dedication. And for everyone, please out there, always support the creators, because without us, there wouldn't be, you know, future creators. So we're all doing this together as a community. But yeah, thank you so much for everyone listening. And Mariam, thank you so much for your time. Please stay safe. I'll definitely catch you soon.
You too.